Tracey Chiappini Young, co-founder and chief executive of Taunina Sustainable Luxury Lifestyle brand, there's a mouthful for you, is creating employment in the country through seamstresses producing toys that are going into the most exclusive toy shops in the world. Tracey, so good to have you in the program. I think a lot of our viewers will recognize you for your past involvement in the financial services sector. When did you give up analyzing companies and decide to start growing employment?
Thanks, Alec. Well, I left asset management in 2004, and then I was involved in setting up one of our first board-based Black Economic Empowerment private equity funds. So I worked on that for 5 to 6 years, doing BE deals and building a fund which essentially was funding free university for disadvantaged children. And then in 2011, I looked at ways that I could build sustainability, but at the same time leverage handcraft and arts in South Africa and Africa. And that's Taunina.
The name?
Taunina.
Where does it come from?
Well, Tau is a Sotho word for lion, and Nina is an acronym for no income and no assets. And put together we have Taunina, and really the name represents what the business is trying to achieve, which is empowering women from disadvantaged communities to use their age-old artistries to create one-of-a-kind luxury items.
Tracey, I'm sure starting up this project wasn't entirely easy. What were some of the challenges that you met up with?
It wasn't easy. It absolutely was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. A good learning for someone who likes to direct executives of businesses in terms of capital allocation, as Alec is well aware. So it was a very interesting challenge, and I would say the most difficult thing has been building a business based on compassion and empathy, focusing on sustainable development, but at the same time a business which in itself is sustainable. So there needs to be a strong business ethic, a strong focus on processes, and really a business which can contend with luxury brands around the world. So that's a very interesting dynamic that I deal with every day, and probably the most challenging from a personal perspective.
Many people say the market in South Africa is not a very easy one to access. I take it your raw materials are sourced from outside the country. Financing must have also been a challenge?
Well, my partner and I funded the business personally, and we have now 3 external individual investors. So we haven't actually found that too much of a challenge. I think there are a lot of people who are very passionate about sustainable business, and especially if they can see that there's a differentiated positioning in the market. And we have, I think, fairly successfully built a global logistics channel into that marketplace. And we've done things, I hope, cleverly in identifying what we felt was a market which was pretty much uncontended other than the large staff organization. So while teddy bears is often believed to be a very crazy idea, I think there was a method in the madness. It was identifying a sector in the market which really isn't challenged and isn't competitive, and being able to use age-old artistry to create these art or collector's pieces. So I think you're absolutely right in highlighting the challenges of sourcing materials in South Africa. We have found that a fairly distressing process, just because we obviously used to have a wealth of textile companies. We do have a wealth of hand skill, but we have had to import a lot of our fabrics, which of course is not what we would choose to do. And unfortunately we're importing those from around the world, but we are in the process of trying to develop our own fabrics locally, and that is a challenge. There's no doubt that that is a huge challenge, and I hope that we can assist in trying to drive capital allocation into those sectors again, because unlike many other players in the market, I really do believe people do not price their supply chains appropriately. And I think, sourcing fabrics internationally, while it obviously on the face of it can be cheaper, it really, in terms of managing your supply chain and having that type of flexibility to create short exciting creative collections, you really do need to have your finger on the pulse and have short-term access to creativity in this country.
Tracey, are they all unique, each one of these teddy bears? Because your distribution chain that you were talking about is very at top end of the market. Harrods coming on stream soon, Barney's in New York. I think quite a few people watching here will say, hey, but this is going to be an expensive purchase for my little girl or little boy.
It definitely is an expensive purchase, and well, expensive I suppose is how you view it. As far as I'm concerned, they are one-of-a-kind pieces, and they do take 4 days to make each one, so they're very much positioned at the high end of the market. But I believe that there's a customer who is looking for something highly differentiated, and the reality is, Alec, is you can't scale handwork. So, and I believe that people appreciate that. And each piece is designed 100% by the artist, and each piece is completely unique. And it's a talisman, and it's a gift with soul. And I think what it represents is a lifelong friendship or connection with the artist concerned and their family. And it's a piece of art. I think what Taunina is about is elevating the status of craft in this country to art. And I think for me, as a business person, obviously, I believe there needs to be a far greater understanding of what's involved in handwork, and I think there is a consumer that understands that. And the reality is it's something that has to be elevated to art, or it's non-competitive. So South Africa is a very interesting position. I think as Cape Town being selected as the design capital of the world, you see a lot of businesses which can't compete because they are targeting a premium customer, but they have a product which is a very, very high-cost product to produce. So right up front, I think people need to be clear on what the cost of their product is, and then ensure that they can price to achieve that. Otherwise, they need to close up shop.
Tracey,
so you mentioned our